Welcome to The Shoreline, brought to you by Shores and Islands, Ohio, where finding your Lake Erie love is a sure thing. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Jill Bauer, PR Manager for Shores and Islands, Ohio. We bring you The Shoreline every week to give you the inside scoop on what's happening here in our island and coastal communities. Well, we're almost halfway through October already. Time is really flying. We're thrilled that you're along for the ride. If you've been a regular listener, you know we have a bunch of amazing fall and Halloween events coming up in the next few weeks. This upcoming weekend is the Sandusky Witches Walk event. You can learn all about that by listening to our interview with organizer Cora Higgins a few episodes back. It really is a magical event, and it raises so much money for local organizations. Plus, you can be a part of not one, but 2 Guinness World Record attempts. As a reminder, you can always find those events and event details on our online calendar, which is available at shoresandislands.com. And we've still got a few more weeks of island season as well as Cedar Point season, as sadly both will wind down at the end of the month. But then we'll just transition into more of our year-round local attractions and businesses. And then, of course, don't forget the holiday season is just around the corner after that. But don't let the colder weather force you to stay indoors. We've also got a ton of parks and natural areas just waiting to be enjoyed and explored. So today, let's talk about getting outside. Joining us on the Shoreline is Jannah Wilson, Executive Director for the Park District of Ottawa County, Ohio. Throughout her career, Jannah has championed the belief that preserving green space begins with connecting people to nature through recreation and education. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree from Central Michigan University with a major in outdoor and environmental recreation and a minor in natural resources. Her career in environmental education began as a seasonal interpretive ranger at Wind Cave National Park in South Dakota. She went on to serve as a seasonal interpretive naturalist at several parks and nature centers throughout the U.S. And then in 2006, Jannah relocated to Ohio to join Lorain County Metro Parks as a full-time naturalist. She was there for over 15 years, and while there, she played a key role in the organization's programming and outdoor education efforts, ultimately serving as the Outdoor Experiences Manager from 2019 to 2021. In 2022, Jannah was honored to step into the role of Executive Director for the Park District of Ottawa County. As a resident of the county, the opportunity to build a park district from the ground up in her own community was a dream come true. She is proud to work alongside a committed board of park commissioners to shape the future of outdoor recreation and conservation in the Shores and Islands region. Welcome to the Shoreline, Jannah.
Thanks for having me today.
So happy to have you and learn a little bit more about your organization. I guess I didn't realize that you were the first executive director of the Parks District. Is that correct?
It is correct. Yes, we just we're a very new park district. We just got off our feet in 2020 when we passed our first tax levy. So prior to that, we did not have any funding for the park district. We did not actually have any park areas. When I began my position in January of 2022, we were essentially starting from the ground up, just, starting with everything being new for us here.
That's insane to me because I'm looking at your website and how developed it is and how many beautiful park areas you support and promote. And I can't believe that you've built this all just in the last couple of years. So what a fun job. Congratulations on that. For folks that might not be familiar, can you share what the mission of Ottawa County Parks is and maybe some of what makes your park system kind of unique?
Yes. So we just went through a whole strategic planning process this year. We completed that in July. And our mission is to connect people to our natural resources and outdoor recreation amenities. We do that in many different ways through creating park areas, creating new trail systems, facilitating programs and events throughout the county. Our new office here, which is located at the Shores and Islands Welcome Welcome Center in Port Clinton is another way that we're connecting with our community and just providing more resources for the public so that people can get outdoors, experience the wonderful natural resources that we have here all year round, and really, have the amenities to have places to go, and then the resources to be able to walk, ride bikes, any way that people choose to get outdoors, we want to help provide those means.
So beyond your strategic plan, what are some of the projects that have already come to fruition? Or I know that there is a extension of the North Coast Inland Trail that you guys are very proud of. Can you talk a little bit about that? And why are these projects important to the community?
Yes, so we have recently completed a 1-mile extension of the North Coast Inland Trail on the west side of the county. The North Coast Inland Trail is about a 100-mile bike route that extends from Ottawa County all the way to Lorain County. It goes from Ottawa down into Sandusky County, over into Huron County, and then up into Lorain County. So the section here in Ottawa County is the newest piece to be developed. Back in 2020 into 2021, the portion of the North Coast Inland Trail between Elmore and Genoa was completed, but there was one missing part that was yet to be completed to actually create that seamless connection between Elmore and Genoa. So we did finish that this year. We're very excited about that, to now have a seamless multi-use trail all the way from Genoa to Elmore. That is now open to the public to utilize that, and people can safely bike on a separated path. Now all the way from Genoa to Elmore and then beyond on the North Coast Inland Trail to get into the other neighboring counties.
And that is such an extensive trail. I live in Huron County, so I'm familiar with that portion of it. And, just to have that amenity available for folks riding bikes to safely do so away from the highway in most cases. I know there are portions of the trail that still share the road, at least in Norwalk they do. But there's a lot of the trail that is now fully paved and safe riding for those bikers. And I'm very familiar with the area in Elmore as well, because I believe it goes right through their park there. I think is it called Depot Park, that there's like restroom facilities and all of that kind of stuff. Are there other amenities like that along the way that you're aware of in Ottawa County?
Yeah, so the Park District actually helped fund a restroom in Veterans Park in Genoa. So right now, Veterans Park is the westernmost trailhead for the North Coast Inland Trail. It's the western terminus. And right there at the terminus for it, we have a restroom, a brand new restroom. So definitely check that out in Veterans Park. And then Veterans Park has many other amenities as well. There's a swimming quarry pond there that's open in the summer. There's nature trails that go all around the quarry. We have on the trail itself there in Veterans Park, we have a bike repair station, a drinking fountain, bike racks. There's several great restaurants. There's an ice cream place right at the end of the North Coast Inland Trail now there in Genoa, the Big Dipper. And then, Genoa has, a lot of great shops and restaurants in the downtown area. So, and currently we are planning the next extension for the North Coast Inland Trail that will go through the village of Genoa and get back onto the old railroad rail property. So we'll get it back onto the railroad, or the old railroad, I should say, to continue west.
So it's kind of like a rails to trails situation. Their train tracks are no longer in use, and so they're incorporating part of that as the bike trail.
Yes. Yep. So that's, something that we see throughout the country are these rail trail projects. And much of the North Coast Inland Trail is built on what was originally the Toledo, Norwalk, and Cleveland Railroad back in 1851. So there's a lot of history too. So that's another great feature of the North Coast Inland Trails, just to explore the old railroad history along the way too. Many train depots you can check out along the way, markers, historical markers, old train markers. Just, it's very, very cool to learn about how that particular train project, when that railroad came through this area, it was one of the first railroads in Ohio at that time, and it went through parts of the state that were completely undeveloped, parts of the Great Black Swamp.
I was just thinking that, the Black Swamp area.
Yes.
That was like riding through there.
Right, yeah. So it was, all the little towns that are along the way all sprouted up due to the railroad being constructed. So it's just a really cool piece of our history here. And it's great that we have the North Coast Inland Trail to be able to enjoy it and learn more about it and enjoy nature along the way as well.
And so it sounds like it's a great biking destination. Beyond the North Coast Inland Trail, are there other areas that you are developing for bike riders in Ottawa County?
So we are doing a few other projects to help increase safe amenities for cyclists in Ottawa County. We completed our Marblehead Peninsula Trail feasibility study this year. So we're working on the preliminary engineering for phase 1 for that, which will be within the village of Marblehead. We're working on plans right now on the phase 1 of that part of the project, just to, help increase safe bike riding amenities in that particular area, and then hopefully expand that network throughout the whole peninsula. So that's our starting point there.
That's awesome. It'd be really nice to have more and more areas for bike riders, because I think that that's becoming a very popular way to experience a destination, whether you live there or are visiting. I know a lot of people visit the area, bring their bikes along as well. Are there any other projects throughout the community that you're particularly excited about?
Yes, definitely. So we have, in Catawba Island, we have 3 properties that we now own, and we are working on plans for those park areas. The Islander Woods and Trailhead is in the northern part of Catawba Island, and by next summer, we will have a public park there for people to experience. So next summer or fall, I should probably say that. I'll give ourselves a little buffer time there. Definitely by the end of next year, we will have that park area open to the public, and we're really excited about that. We'll have a nature play area, fishing amenities on the ponds there, and it will be the starting point for our future Catawba Islander Trail. So that's an exciting project that we're working on right now, but we're excited to at least have a starting point with the Islander Woods and Trailhead.
So I know that one of your goals is to get people out and using the recreational spaces and the public use of the parks. But I also know that conservation is very important to you. So how do you as an organization balance protecting those habitats and natural areas with people utilizing the space?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's definitely something that we do not take lightly. We want to make sure that these natural areas that we are acquiring are benefiting the public and the plants and animals that live there. So we're doing many things with our planning to help address the conservation needs. So, for example, at our West Harbor Preserve, we will open that area to the public within the next 3 to 4 years. But right now, we're utilizing grant funds to do invasive species removal as well as replanting native vegetation. So we're doing many projects like that as well to kind of prepare these future park areas for natural areas that are preserved and that are full of diverse plants and animals. Because we know people like to come here and walk and bike, but they also like to see nature while they're here as well. So we want to make sure we have areas that are really inviting to nature and good birding locations, good fishing areas where you may see other other wildlife. And we just want to make sure that we're good stewards of the land because that's, also part of our responsibility. So some of these park areas that we own, we are doing some of this work prior to opening the park areas, the invasive species removal and the natural plant restoration work, so that when we do come through and build infrastructure such as bike trails and maybe, picnic shelters, restrooms, parking areas, we've really gotten a good handle on those natural areas and what needs to be preserved and protected, and just how to balance the trail systems and balance the other amenities with the natural environment as best as we can.
That's really interesting. I hadn't really thought about, it's kind of the behind the scenes stuff, right? You're being stewards of the land and taking care of parks that aren't even public parks yet. That's fascinating. And just also thinking about all of the things that go into it when you do decide to make those areas accessible to the public, how you educate the folks that are visiting it there to take out what you take in and make sure that there's plenty of like trash cans and restroom facilities and things like that available for them, so that they're, also contributing to the conservation side of it.
Definitely. Yeah. All those things are so critical to, a park area being well used, but also respected by the, people using it. So, there's a lot of thought that goes into all the planning for the park areas. We've done master plans for both Islander Woods and the West Harbor Preserve that also included a great deal of public engagement where, we had surveys to ask people, what they wanted to see prioritized and just what kind of amenities they'd like to see. And just, we utilize all that public data to help drive the plan, and then, have these master plans that are a really good blueprint for us to create these areas in the most responsible, sustainable way.
So you did mention on the one project that you're doing prior to opening that a lot of that is funded by grants. I know funding is always going to be a challenge, especially for public spaces. So what does it take to take a project from an idea to reality, and how do, getting grants and getting local support, how does that factor into making it all happen?
Yeah, the grants are huge for us because we do have our tax levy, which provides us the funding to do cost shares on grants. But to be able to do some of these bigger projects like our North Coast Inland Trail extensions, which are $1.2 million projects, to have those grant funded is amazing. That's the only way we can do it. So for our North Coast Inland Trail extension, we're doing planning right now through the village of Genoa. That's a $1.19 million project, and that is being funded through an ODOT Transportation Alternatives program.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we're really fortunate with that particular grant because that grant is funding that project 100%. So they're paying for the whole construction. The park district is paying for the engineering for it. So that's our cost share to it is the cost of the engineering. But that's kind of how the finances come together. But having our tax levy dollars that we can then utilize for, staffing and for engineering and for all these other needs that we have to be able to be in a position to apply for the grants is really critical. So we have that grant, the ODOT TAP grant, and then we have received other grants such as some of the destination development grants from ODOT that have helped us with various projects. So we received a destination development grant that helped us with our Marblehead Peninsula Trail feasibility study. And then we also received one for our Islander Woods and Trailhead. So that will be utilized to help with some of the expenses for that project. We just received a ODNR Coastal Management Assistance Grant for Islander Woods and Trailhead as well. So that funding really helped to add some of these features that will make that area a little bit more interesting and more user-friendly. So that's, the grants are extremely critical to our ability to do projects and at a greater scale.
So, parks in general are tied closely to good health and to quality of life. In Ottawa County, how do you see your park system contributing to the local community as far as wellness and accessibility to folks that live there?
I see it being, essential to quality of life. We see it on the west side of the county with the North Coast Inland Trail, where people tell us that they've moved here because they want to be close to the North Coast Inland Trail. And so we see it there. We see people every day telling us, like, I come out and ride my bike every day. I'm here. I come out and walk in the wintertime. I use the trail every single day. So those are resources that people are using in their everyday life. And I think that that's where we see ourselves as, as a park district, that's our responsibility, is to be able to provide things that people are going to use every day to be happier and healthier, more connected to nature. So having park areas that are in places that are accessible to people is really critical for us. And that's, something that we're striving to do. We see that playing out with the North Coast Inland Trail. And as we work on projects here on the east side of the county and in the Oak Harbor area, we'll continue to see the same results, as we kind of build up this infrastructure of multi-purpose trails and open these park areas to the public.
So you mentioned early on when we were talking about different events that you put on to get people out and into the parks. And just now you mentioned that people use the trails year round, that they get out and walk on them, maybe when it's not feasible to be on a bike. So let's talk about a big initiative that you guys launched last month. And I believe it continues all the way through the November, and that's the Fall Outdoor Hiking Challenge. Can you tell me about that program, how people can participate, they earn, and just basically how it all works?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that we heard a lot, especially when we were the first couple of years that I was the director for the park district, was that we have all these great parks in Ottawa County already, but people might just not know where they are. They don't know where to go, or it's not kind of like networked together. So if the park district could do something to get people more aware of the parks that are here, the existing parks that we have, that would be a great resource for people. So that got me thinking, and I went back to my earlier days with Lorain County Metro Parks and some of the things that we did. And I just kind of spun the Outdoor Hiking Challenge off of something we did in Lorain County Metro Parks called the Hiking Stick Program. And it was just, a self-guided walking opportunity, but also with some guided walks that people could participate in as well. So I thought, we can do this here too. We don't have all of our own parks yet, but we can utilize, the state parks that are here and the National Wildlife Refuge units that are throughout Ottawa County, and all the wonderful township parks that we have and city parks that we have. So they've pulled together a list of all these different park areas with hiking trails. And each year we kind of switch it up, or if there's a new area that's open, we put that in there. We do a lot with the islands as well, because there's many great hiking opportunities on the islands, on South Bass Island and Middle Bass Island. So we've brought them into the hiking challenge. This year we have 12 destinations. So we have 12 different public areas that have hiking trails listed as destinations. And if people hike 9 out of 12 destinations, they earn a fleece camping blanket that we will then distribute in December
Ooh.
to anyone that completed it. So it's all free. There's no cost to participate. And, what we hear from people is that they really look forward to the hiking challenge because it gets them outside during the fall, gives them something to, some type of challenge for them, something to keep them on track. And we do several guided walks with the hiking challenge as well. So if people don't want to necessarily walk by themselves, but they still want to do the hiking challenge, they can come on our guided walks and participate that way as well. So yeah, it's been great to do it over over the past few years, and we're glad to be doing it again this year. And, people can start. Some people have already turned in their forms, have already completed it. But some people, yes, I know. Some people wait till the last week and do it all that last week of November, and that's okay too. So, people can, do it however they choose, however it will work best for them.
And you spread it out, I think, over almost 3 months, because, right? Didn't you kick it off at the beginning of September?
Yeah, so it goes September, October, and November. And then people who complete the challenge are required to have their form submitted by early December. And then after that, we set up time in December to distribute all the blankets for anyone who completed it.
And is it just like honor system, or do you check in when you go on the guided walks? How does that work?
Yeah, so with this hiking challenge, it is on the honor system. We don't require any sort of like check-ins or anything like that. So we know there, might be people who slip through the cracks on this, but
hopefully not too many.
Hopefully not. But we are, so far we haven't had. Everyone's been super honest with doing the actual walks because most people want to do this program.
Right. I mean, that's the point. Is I want to get out. I want to enjoy the area. I want to get some fresh air, and maybe discover a new park or hike somewhere where they haven't been before.
Right. Yeah. And so what we found is people are really excited to do it. And we really haven't experienced people not
cheating the system.
You're right. We, look forward to continuing to do it and look forward to eventually having more park areas to add to it.
Oh, for sure. And if somebody wanted to complete the challenge, where do they find what the locations are and the form that you need to fill out and turn in?
Our website is the best location to go to for all the information and for the form, which is ottawacountyparksoh.org. And that will have the PDF link to the form. If anyone wants a paper copy of the form, they can come here to our office at the Shores and Islands Welcome Center in Port Clinton, and they can get a paper form here. And then we do try to distribute them at different events that we're located. If we go to different public events, we have them at all the libraries and at the senior centers as well. So there are several other public locations you can go to get a form.
So you mentioned being at the Shores and Islands Welcome Center now. You guys moved in there just a couple of months ago, and we're honored to share that space with you as well, and hopefully, expose you to visitors that are coming to the area to learn more about our parks and natural areas. Can you tell us what facilitated that move into the Welcome Center, and how are you liking it so far?
We knew that we needed to have an office area that, was accessible to the public where they could come in and ask questions, that we could have scheduled open hours, that we could, maybe even have some programs and events eventually. So it was something that we knew we needed. We just weren't sure how we were going to do that, or how we were going to find that location, or were we going to have to build something, or, we didn't know. It was it was just an unknown for us. It was something we knew we needed. We just didn't know how to get there. So I was contacted by Larry Fletcher in the fall of last year and just inquired if the park district was needing space or needed a home. And I immediately said yes, that we did need a home. So that just kind of started the conversation of like, okay, if we do move into the visitor center, how are we going to facilitate this, and what needs to be built to make this happen? And so we got the conversation going, and then by January of this year, we had everything in place to be able to move forward. So we hired Telamon Construction to do the build, and they were able to get it get the construction completed by May of this year. And we were able to be fully moved in June of this year. So we moved into our space. We've been, it took us about a month or so to get everything kind of situated and get things set up and all of that. But starting this past August, we started open hours for the park district. So we're now open here, regularly open from 1 to 4 on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, where we actually have either a volunteer or a staff person here. So if anyone has questions, they can stop by the park district office during those times if they want to pick up any literature, or we are also doing these monthly nature activity kits people can come and pick up. So
yeah, talk a little bit about those. My friend Jessica that works at the front desk at Shores and Islands was telling me about those, that you guys have those for families to do.
Yeah, so every month it'll be a different theme. October is fall leaves. So in the activity kit, we just have an easy to do nature-based activity. So for October, it's a fall leaves placemat that anyone can make, not just kids. And we have all the instructions for that and all the tools that you need to do it, as far as the craft supplies, I should say. And then we have a ODNR trees guide in there as well, so that people can know what types of trees they're looking at and what leaves are from what trees. And we have a little bit of information about the fall color change and just the science behind that. So anyone can come and pick up one of these nature activity kits and then do the activity kind of on their own in a public park or in your own backyard.
And those are free.
They are free. Yep. So we have them available to pick up during our open hours from 1 to 4 Tuesdays and Wednesdays. But if we're here, or if you call us or email us or just let us know you want to stop by to pick one up, we'll definitely make sure that we're available to get that to anyone who would like one.
And then you'll also be able to utilize I call it the conference room, but it's a public space that we have there at the Welcome Center, where at least from the Shores and Islands side, we host lectures or meetings or things like that. Do you guys plan to utilize that space and host events?
Yeah, definitely. We've actually already been using it for a few things. We have a volunteer corps for the park district. So we've had some things in here for our volunteers, some, workshops, things like that for them, some training sessions for the volunteers. We plan to have in 2026 a good number of our public board meetings will be held in here in the conference room. So we're looking forward to that, to have more of a dedicated space where we can have our public meetings here as well.
So, Jannah, just on a personal level, do you have a favorite park or a favorite trail in the Ottawa County Park system?
Personally, my family and I, we do a lot of camping. And I personally, I love the islands. Like I love hiking around on the islands. So like Put-in-Bay Township Park District has so many great little park areas on South Bass Island. And I would have to say those are my favorite to explore.
And are there any, either on the islands or on the mainland, that you think are kind of like a hidden gem that maybe people don't know about and can?
Yeah, for sure. So I love Meadowbrook Marsh as well in Danbury Township. It's a fully paved loop trail and it's so much fun. It goes back into the woods. It comes back out into this like big prairie area, and then it goes down by Meadowbrook Marsh. So you just have so many different habitats that you're traveling through. And I do think that's a hidden gem for us here in Ottawa County.
That's awesome. So of all the things that we talked about today, is there anything else that you'd like our listeners to know about the Ottawa County Parks District?
So yes, I wanted to also mention that we have a grant program that is open to, it's called our Parks and Trails Improvement Grant, and it is open to any public any village, township, city in Ottawa County can apply for it. So it's a great program, and it's a way for communities to make improvements in their parks that they have. So if they are looking to do a walking path or a new playground, or maybe they're like a restroom amenity or something like that, our Parks and Trails Improvement Grant Program can help to fund those types of improvements.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jannah. Where can people go to find more information on all of the Ottawa County parks and the Fall Hiking Challenge?
Yeah, so our Facebook page has a ton of information on it. We try to get information on there almost every day, something new, that, we have going on here. So definitely check us out on Facebook, and then our website, which is ottawacountyparksoh.org, is another great location to find all of our, all the information that you might be looking for related to the park district. And then feel free to swing by and check us out here at the Visitor Center. Track us down at any of the local events, or at the hikes, the guided walks for the Fall Hiking Challenge.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jannah. I really enjoyed talking with you today.
Yes, same. Thank you.
Special thanks to Jannah Wilson of the Park District of Ottawa County for joining us on the Shoreline today. As always, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss a minute of the action here in Shores and Islands, Ohio. You can also find more information, including past episodes of the podcast, online at shoresandislands.com. We will see you next time on The Shoreline.